Okay, my name is Vahur. I have been developing Digilugu backend services for 2.5 years for now. And when I started with a project, what I've found very complex and frustrating was how to develop test my developments. So the practices that were used so far were quite raw, low abstraction level, so I tried to find another way to make it easier. And in this presentation, I tried to give an overview of what we did to make testing of Digilugu messaging easier and even, I would say, fun. A bit of agenda. First, I'm trying to give an overview of the overall testing infrastructure and core approach, what we actually have to do to test our development. What is the main challenge in writing tests? Bit of overview of the Digilugu standard message structure in order to understand better what we are dealing with. And then some principles or building blocks, how we resolved the problem of composing HL7 version 3 messages. And finally, I tried to give some examples of the messages or the source code that generates the HL7 messages that we use. And finally, we end up with examples of writing some actual Spock tests. First, our testing infrastructure, or the idea is that we have this Spock test application. We have a Digilugu backend system, and first we have to compose an HL7 message, send it to the backend application. We get some response back, and then we have to check some aspects in the response in order to ensure that we have a correct behavior of the backend application. So, what's the problem? Why was the testing so hard so far? The problem was that the raw XML form is not a good choice for creating Digilugu tests. Messages are very verbose, hard to write, read and maintain. The idea of the test was really hard to grasp, to understand, because it was just hidden behind this large XML file. The problem was also the non-uniform HL7 version 3 constructs, which in one type of messages were resolved in one way, and in the other type of messages were resolved in totally the other way. So it was quite hard to read the raw message. So the practice was to write tests in copy-paste mode, or copy it from the logs or previous standard examples. So it was like doing a lot of copy-paste. We tried to avoid this and to make it more meaningful. The complexity was also presenting CDA documents within the HL7 version 3 messages. There were several problems. One was that those CDA XMLs must be base 64 encoded. The other problem is that mostly they must also be digitally signed, so we must place this signed container within the HL7 message. And one very big problem manipulating data was that this data of the message actually must be like duplicated on the message level and on the CDA document level. So it was really hard to write it manually to both locations. It was really error prone actually. And actually the Digilugu standard does not state very clearly how to what is the mapping function from the CDA data to the message level data. So it must be somehow I don't know how this should actually be doable. It's like trying to do it by the example messages, because standard does not state it clearly. So what is the Digilugu message structure? In the simplest case, we have X-road SOAP envelope. Within that, there is, I would call it Digilugu or web methods envelope, some kind of instruction, what's actually going on. And within that Digilugu envelope, there is HL7 message. But this is only the simplest case, which is used for queries and other simpler operations. But when it comes to forwarding documents, then there is another level within the HL7 message, which is the CDA document, which must be base 64 encoded. But when we have to also sign the CDA document, then there is another level. So base 64 encoded signed container, which contains the CDA document, or in more complex cases, there can even be multiple containers when the message contains multiple CDA documents. So this is actually really hard to compose such layered structure manually. I try to also depict this situation again once more, that the problem with duplicating actual medical data between the message level and the CDA document level is really frustrating, because you must somehow resolve it. And when you compose those messages, you want to actually say once who is the patient or who is the author and so on. So it is actually important to find a way to say everything once. So our aim when developing this testing framework was to simplify creation of Digilugu messages. This is the most important thing to resolve. We started from the HL7 basic data types, which actually could be found in any reasonable framework that deals with a composition of HL7 messages. But this is important foundation for other parts of the message composition. The other important part is using concepts. So Digilugu messages actually contain a very large number of concepts of any kind, from various terminologies, classifiers, and also value sets. So our test framework strategy was a consistent use of concepts. We tried to avoid using concepts in free text form, and always use the necessary concepts from terminology, classifier, or value set without hard coding anything. So why is the concept use actually important? Here is an example drawn from Digilugu standard sample message. And when I first read it, I found that there is no concept 112 within the reference value set. And also the official name of the value set did not seem correct, so I turned to take andmekorraldus and asked about it. So after this, the missing concept was included in the version 3 of the value set, but the sample message was not fixed. So it still referred to actually inexistent concept in the version 1 of the value set. And the source of those problems actually is that they compose those messages without any relation to a terminology source. They do it actually manually, I think. And this is not a good way to do it, because this is very error prone. You cannot do it correctly if you reference like thousands of concepts in the standard, and you don't even realize such contradictions that there is no such concept in a value set or in a terminology. So this is the thing to avoid in this testing framework, but this rule actually should be more generally applied, so that such mistakes cannot be done at all. In our approach, each required terminology, classification, or value set is represented as a subclass of a concept class. So we selected an approach to import each terminology, classification, or value set as a raw CSV file in our test project. And we have a generation, class generation mechanisms that enables to generate Java files from those source CSV files. And during the generation process, each concept instance is given a Javadoc comment, so that when we reference those concepts within the source code, when creating tests and creating HL7 version 3 messages, then we can just use the support of IDE in order to display us what this concept actually means, what is the code and name of the concept. So it's very easy to understand what's going on. Each concept has a code name of the terminology, classification, or value set, and default code system, or OID, that should be used if not specified the other way. And what's important is that the concept object can convert itself into HL7 version 3 coded data type. So the interface of the concept is quite simple, and we use it throughout the composition of the HL7 message in order to just get concepts into the message. Here is an example of the CSV file that we use for ABO blood group value set. The first row of the file just states or references the default OID and provides a code system name for the value, or for this value set. And the other rows just present those concepts in the, that are present in the value set. Each concept contains code, which is the first part. The second part is the display value, and the third one is actually optional. It just gives a meaningful enum constant name for this code. If it is not given, then the code itself is used for that with a like valid prefix to make it a valid variable name in Java. But when using value set that is based on SNOMED, those SNOMED codes are actually not very meaningful for human eye. So we have a solution to overcome this problem, because when we talk, for example, about the ABO blood group, then it is clearly more meaningful to say AB and so on. So here is just an example of the generated ABO blood group file that we use. So when we use this concept, for example, A in the test code, then we hover it with a mouse. We can see that this is actually SNOMED code this and that, and named A. So this is like makes it easier to understand the actual message context. A bit about the concept inclusion strategy that we use. For smaller value sets, we typically include all concepts, but for larger terminologies like SNOMED CT, ICD-10, we tend to include only the concepts that are needed in our testing environment. There is no point in including all SNOMED concepts into a Java class, because this actually, I think, it does not perform even, because if you describe a Java class with hundreds of thousands of concepts, then it simply does not work, I think. But from the testing perspective, it is quite okay to do so. And a bit about versioning. In most cases, we just don't care about that there is several versions of the same value set. We just use the last one. And if we have some kind of specific case that we care about versioning, we just can import explicitly two versions of the value set and use the proper version whenever we need it. So the potential future perspective actually is the integration with a terminology server, but there are a lot of interesting problems that this would impose. I would like to have a compile time concept reference check, so that I cannot use an invalid concept or inexistent concept. I want also to backtrack where a specific concept is being used in the source code. In the current solution, it is very easy, because when I look at this ABO blood group, I can see that there are 8 usages of it. So IDE tells me how much and where those concepts are being used. It's very comfortable. I don't want to lose it. I also want to have some kind of auto-completion solution when I specify concepts. When I do it now, I just start to type ABO blood group. I'm being helped with the choice of the class. I'm being also helped with the choice of the concept within the class. So I would like this future solution to do the same thing somehow. But I'm realistic that it is not achievable or easily achievable with just pure language like Java or Groovy. It must be done maybe with a domain-specific language. And I would also like to have some kind of type checking of terminology binding, so that if I write a message structure where in one place a SNOMED CT code is actually expected, I don't want to have this API to be, like, accept a pure concept, but a subclass of this concept, like maybe a SNOMED CT concept, maybe in some places ICD-10 concept or whatever. So we must have some kind of type checking for that. But as this is quite complex topic, I have not resolved this somehow. So we just import or upgrade our CSV files for now and try to live with it. We also have entities like individuals, organizations, devices, locations who have a local registry of those entities. So we can just pick one person and consider it a patient or a doctor or whatever we need. When composing HL7 message, it is almost always necessary to specify an individual who is representing some organization and is sending the message from a specific device. So the combination is of those three is actually important, and we call this actor. And most of the messages also are about a specific patient. So we do an operation or send some data or query some data of one specific patient. And to support that, we have a concept called actor with patient. So we must typically specify actor with patient in order to create HL7 version 3 Tigilugu message. Here are some examples of creation of those actors with patients. So we just pick some person to be the author, to be patient. We specify organization on behalf of which this author is acting, and also device where the message is coming from. I think those examples are quite self-explanatory, so I don't go into more detail here. On top of those foundation stuff, we have reusable classes for composing HL7 messages. Each message class has a 2 XML method that generates the actual HL7 version 3 message. Here is a simple example of creating a time-critical query message. First, we create actor with patient, and then using this actor with patient object, we create a time-critical data query message and print it to console. This is just a very simple example. No interaction with the Tigilugu backend application. But this just shows that creating query messages is really easy in the simplest cases. Here is a more complex example. We also create a patient, actor with patient. Here we state that Eastern Tallinn Hospital doctor is querying data of patient Adele Louise Carlson from Eastern Tallinn Hospital information system. And we query referrals of type outpatient referral that are created that are newer than 1 year and that are in state open. If you look at this query message composition, you see that we use document type and referral status that are also some value sets. So this document type actually refers to outpatient referral, and it is just simply a value set and a value set concept reference here. So we don't hard code any concept. Here is a more complex example where we try to create an immunization notice. And this is more complex because this is not a query message anymore, but this is a CDA message. When we try to send a CDA document, and within a CDA message, we try to create a CDA document with a specific document standard, document type, and actor with patient. And then we add immunization section into this CDA document. And in this immunization section, we place one immunization procedure with a specific medicine or vaccine with specific dose. And we also state some side effect that occurred during or after this immunization procedure. And finally, we state also this next immunization date when it should happen. So we state that after 1 year, a patient should again come to get this immunization procedure again of this vaccine type. So this is quite compact and quite clear compared to the representation of the corresponding HL7 version 3 XML message. And it should be like self-explanatory. The other thing to point out here is that every CDA document corresponds to a document standard and a document type. We have both document type and document standard here as a value set. Actually, document standard is not the value set in Digilugu standard, but it is rather built or described or documented in the OIDS tree. So what we have done here is actually overcome this problem or inconsistency of Digilugu standard that those document standard concepts like in a value set, but in an OID tree. Here is another example of lab test report. Here we just send an ABO blood test, ABO blood group test result that states that patient has blood group B. And the status of the analysis is completed, and it is done from venous blood. So here again, you see that there are multiple concepts being referenced within this CDA document. First, document standard, document type, then law encode, HL7 status, which is actually also a concept, specimen type in lab, concept, and this ABO blood group as well. Why this ABO blood group is not just reference, but get CD method is applied is this is because the API is more general. There are several types of analysis used, and the result may be whatever. It may be a concept, it may be a number, whatever. Here is totally another example of what can be done when we just simplify the API. So the health declaration actually is a document where all answers are by default false. We could think that we just have not filled any yeses. So we have a specific CDA document extension for it, so we can declare only the interesting details that we actually care about, or which are actually present in the patient. So we just specify lifestyle, work environment, allergies, and so on. And this is quite natural to read such thing, and quite easy to follow that what we try to say with it. So this is just like an easier API to achieve the same thing like composing a large XML document. But when you see such thing in a test and this is manageable, we can understand what we try to say when we read it. A bit about also Spock tests. All our Spock tests extend the same base class that helps to manage sending of messages to Digilugu backend. And we also have a facilitating object or class to wrap HL7 message in this response message that Digilugu backend sends us back. And it simplifies reading and validating the response data within the message. There is also the same problem that this CDA document may be in the response message, maybe base 64 encoded, maybe also digitally signed container. So it must be somehow readable without any extra effort. This base class also arranges pre and post test cleanup. So when we create some data into the Digilugu backend service, we cannot actually roll back this data, but we can, after the test, we can just clean up or nullify those documents that we created so that there is no trash anymore. So when we have to rerun this test again, we can just ensure that we don't have any like data, actual valid data that were created on in the previous runs of the same test. How we achieve it is that when we generate HL7 messages, all identifiers that we use in the message actually use the same OID that is this test specific. So we know that, well, we find all the documents with the same OID, and in the backend service and in the cleanup, we just try to nullify those documents. We also have optional Postman output to generate the Postman collection of the test run. So we can just use this option to open the actual raw message exchanged view in the Postman and see what's actually being exchanged with the backend in a raw form. So here is a simple Spock test example again. We just try to validate time-critical data query and see if blood group and RHD results are present there as expected. So we just create a time-critical data query again. And here we have used a shortcut to patient from DL portal, which actually creates an actor with patient for patient Olga Andmevaatur. And we just send a message. We get the response back from the Digilugu backend. And then we check some things that the acknowledgement code of the response message was AA. And then we also check ABO blood group result and also this RHD result that it should be plus or positive. Here, I tried to illustrate this helper method that gives this result XPath. And here, what is important is that we again don't hard code any concepts. We just reference those concepts of the standard in order to generate correct XPath. So we have observation type, we have section code, we have procedure type. So, and that helps to be consistent about the concepts. Here is another example of nullification of document. So we use status change without content message, and we try to initiate this request from doctor from Perch. For patient Emilia Härmalung, we provide document ID, which is some referral that we created in a previous test step that is not visible here. We specify document type to be outpatient referral. We specify status to imply this nullification. And we send a message, and then we make sure that this request is requested with the application request code. And here you can see that we also don't hard code any HL7 value sets. We just reference those as well, like medical value sets. And we also treat the issues that the backend service returns as a value set. There is actually no need to have another solution for those value sets that are more technical, like that come from the standard that we have that contain error codes of our application and so on. This could be the same solution actually, because there is actually nothing different from the medical value sets. And that's all.
Thanks, Vahur. Okay, we have a question from Max.
I have a question regarding this library. Is it published somewhere? Because I understand that it can be used not only in tests. Basically, we have a lot of projects where such kind of messages can be just composed with easier way. I understand that what cannot be done is actually parsing the response out of there. But composing the message and sending this can be simplified a lot for a lot of projects, I believe.
Yes, when I started with this project, I was actually it came to me as a surprise that there were no such tool developed yet, but. I think that this framework has potential for being used in other cases as well that are directly not testing. And it could be developed further so that it could also be used, I think, by the clients of TEHIK, not directly within TEHIK. Because the problem of creating large HL7 messages is quite hard for those TEHIK partners as well. So I think this has potential for that, but here is one point that some data, when we are not composing this messages directly for this test, then some data comes from, for example, EHR system, and we must somehow put it here. So there must be a better integration with some terminology server maybe, so that those concepts that are maybe internal coded or whatever in the EHR system could be somehow translated into those national terminologies, value sets, classifiers. But I think this is a way to go.
Because even like having utilities to compose the envelopes themselves is already a lot. All these signatures, envelopes, actors, whatever. When you have this like DSL language, it simplifies a lot of work.
It abstracts away a lot of complexity or low-level complexity that is actually not necessary.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Vahur, for presentation. Does any partner tried it from in TEHIK, or it just?
We have just introduced it to TEHIK only, not partners. But we were just fighting for this project because the practice that were used so far when we started was this SOAP UI testing framework. And this SOAP UI is considered this de facto standard of TEHIK testing process. But I tried to convince them to look wider and to do something in an easier way. And at least we have this promise that we can continue with this.
Okay, thank you. That's reassuring.
Thank you, Vahur, for the presentation. And I actually believe that you and Victor, who was working on that, deserve another round of applause. Just because the fact that you guys revolutionized the way how to look actually on ensuring the quality around the NHS in general. My question here is probably a bit provoking one, but what's your personal opinion in terms that what is the percentage of the test coverage what we have right now compared to the overall functionality of the NHS, roughly?
In this framework, you mean?
Yeah.
With this framework, we actually have covered only the developments that we do in the Digilogo backend support project. So if we do some kind of development, we try to automate the testing part with this framework. We haven't written any SOAP UI tests anymore, but there are certainly a lot of functionality that we haven't been developing in this support project. So there are certain parts that are not covered yet. But some of the tests, I actually did not talk about it, but we can annotate our tests to be part of the regression test suite that is executed in the context of executing or running the SOAP UI tests. So we can just add and create new tests that are part of this. But I would say that the way to go maybe is to at some step just replace those SOAP UI tests with those tests of our framework. Because this is very time consuming to develop those SOAP UI tests.
Yeah, thank you. I totally agree with you because that's natively is the most logical way how that shall be done in general. Thanks a lot, guys.
I'll also throw in one question. With these frameworks, there will always remain this question of balance between ease of use and customizability. So this tool is in its essence like a tool to provide easy access of combining some pre-structured sections of HL7 messages, SOAP envelopes and the content included. But when we come to a situation where the predefined blocks don't really match our desired request that we want to test right now, what is the current approach with this framework? Do you guys usually improve the overall standard or the structure of how you build these messages and add some additional parameters, by this also making the model a bit more complex but adding customizability? Or it's more like there's a specific way how we can pre-build some sample constructed messages with the tool and then like decorate them with some specific data that is specific to a certain use case?
This is a problem that we haven't actually encountered a lot. There are some cases where we have to like deliberately construct a message with some wrong concept, for example. Then we have this flexibility of those concepts that we can just get the concept and customize it in a way that we need. Another thing that we have encountered is that we have somehow had to use some specific namespace for some XML part. For example, this HL7 standard namespace or extension namespace. So this is actually easily resolvable. Maybe the problem might be that when we deliberately have to generate some kind of invalid structure that we should test, for that actually we don't have very good approach yet. But maybe some kind of extension solution would do it so that we just create the valid structure and somehow have it some kind of extension points that can be written in whatever way we want.
All right, thanks. Do we have any more questions, guys? Okay, one more big round of applause for Vahur.